The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. This is a short summary of the book, kind of like a bridge version, read for my YouTube channel, Mystic Books. I really enjoyed reading this book. In a way, this will ruin the joy of reading the full story yourself. Set in an undefined time, and taking place alternatively between Spain and Egypt, The Alchemist is the story of Santiago's quest for treasure. The novel contains a prologue, two main parts, and an epilogue. There are several sections in two main parts, referring to different time or different scene. In the prologue, an alchemist reads a book someone in the caravan has. The alchemist reads the story of Narcissus, who drowned in the lake while watching his own reflection in it. He was so obsessed by his beauty that it died because of it, and the lake wept because it used to watch its beauty in the depth of the eyes of Narcissus. But the lake never noticed the beauty of Narcissus. The alchemist thought of it as a wonderful story. Part 1. Santiago, a young Spanish shepherd, longs to travel the world. While sleeping under the sycamore in an abandoned church, he has a dream about finding a treasure near Egyptian pyramids. It is the same dream that he dreamt multiple times during the past few days. Santiago is disturbed by this recurring dream. He hires a gypsy woman to interpret his dream, but he feels that the gypsy woman has wasted his time by just telling him, "You will find the treasure if you go to the pyramids." And she made him promise to give 1/10 of his treasure to her if he ever finds it. He then meets a strange old man named Melchizedek, who claims to be an ancient king of Salem. Tells him that the quest for treasure is his destiny. He tells Santiago that for the price of 1/10 of his flock, he'll tell him how to find the treasure. He reveals something so bright on his chest that it almost blinds Santiago, and writes about the things of Santiago's life and his past on the sand. The boy is surprised, and he agreed to the bargain. Melchizedek then explains to Santiago the concept of destiny. Every person is meant to fulfill his destiny, and finding the treasure mentioned in his dreams is Santiago's destiny. Most people fail to recognize and achieve their destiny. If a person does realize his destiny, then that person gets a meaning to his life. He tells him whenever a person is in search of the destiny, the whole universe conspires to help him find it. After giving 1/10 of the flock of sheep to Melchizedek, he gives two stones to Santiago, called Urim and Thummim. So whenever he needs to confirm anything, he can seek the help from these stones. One stone is for yes, and the other is for no. He tells him to follow the omens. The boy sells rest of his sheep and set on a journey in search of his destiny. On reaching Tangier in Morocco, he noticed several omens in the world around him that indicate that he is on the right path. He is excited to be in a new country, and he is now optimistic that he will go to the pyramids soon. It is then he meets a boy of his same age who also speaks Spanish. The boy offers to take him to the pyramids and tells Santiago he'll need his bag of money to buy necessary travel supplies. As soon as Santiago gives him the money, the boy disappears, and Santiago is left penniless in an unfamiliar land. Realizing what has happened, Santiago despairs. On the verge of giving up and returning home, Santiago remembers the Urim and Thummim given to him by the Melchizedek. He asks the stones if Melchizedek's blessing is still with him, and the stones give him the answer, yes. He then asks if he will find his treasure. The stones suddenly slip through a hole in the boy's back. Santiago interprets this as an omen that whether or not he fulfills his destiny is totally up to him. The idea was comforting for him. He understands that when people give up faith, they fail to fulfill their dreams. He falls asleep, and when he is awakened in the morning, he sets out to find work so he can buy food and earn the money he had lost. Santiago then finds a small crystal shop at the top of a hill. He offers to clean all the crystals if the shop owner will give him something to eat. The owner agrees, and Santiago cleans everything in the shop. While eating lunch together, Santiago asks if he can stay and continue working in the shop, and the owner agrees. Part 2. Santiago has worked nearly for a month, and he has adapted the lifestyle of Tangier. The shop owner is a Muslim of unique wisdom, a believer of omens. He had a dream of pilgrimage but is never able to fulfill it, but he understands the importance of dreams. Santiago learns that this is one of several behaviors, beliefs, and attitudes that actually makes it unable to pursue one's dreams. Due to shop owner's wisdom, Santiago learns meaningful lessons that are important to his own quest. The shop owner uses a word maktub to summarize a complex understanding of the universe and each individual's place within the universe multiple times. He says to Santiago he would have to have been born an Arab to understand the full meaning of maktub, and in the boy's language it may mean that it is written. It represents a philosophy in which the entire universe is part of a grand system designed by God. All things are connected, and all the events are written by the same divine hand. It is possible to receive help beyond oneself in accomplishing difficult tasks. The owner's perspective on life summarized in the mysterious word maktub. It helped Santiago better understand the value, purpose, and meaning of the world surrounding him. In time, the shop becomes extremely prosperous with the new ideas to improve the shop. It has been nearly a year, and Santiago has earned enough money to return to Spain and to live the life of a shepherd again. The two stones, Urim and Thummim, remind him of the old king and his destiny. It gives him new strength to follow the path towards his destiny. Santiago then joins a caravan that is about to leave Tangier for the distant desert oasis of Al-Fayoum. While awaiting the caravan's departure, Santiago meets an educated Englishman who is in search of a powerful alchemist who supposedly lives in the desert. Throughout the journey, they share thoughts and experiences of life they had. Santiago thinks that he can learn from the desert as well, while the Englishman chose to read his books to learn. As the caravan moves deeper into the desert, caravan leader is informed of a rumor of tribal wars. A sense of fear grows among the people in the caravan as it moves closer to the war zones. Finally, the caravan reaches the safe oasis. The Englishman requests Santiago to help him find the alchemist. Meanwhile, the caravan is forced to stay in the oasis as tribal wars become more violent in the desert. During the course of asking villagers for directions to the alchemist's tent, Santiago meets a girl of his same age named Fatima. They quickly fall in love, and Fatima becomes a central part of Santiago's destiny. As Santiago feels that perhaps Fatima is the treasure spoken of in his dreams. He explores the oasis and surrounding desert by night, still trying to learn from his surroundings. One night, while walking in the desert, Santiago meets the alchemist. The alchemist tells Santiago that the universal language had previously revealed to him that the caravan would bring with it a man for him to teach, and Santiago is that person, because he has already started to learn the language of world, the true alchemy language. Under the guidance of the alchemist, Santiago continues learning about the importance of destiny. One day, while observing the flight of two hawks, Santiago receives a revelation depicting a raid on the oasis. He reports this to the village elders, and when it becomes true the following day, Santiago is hailed as a powerful seer. At this point, the alchemist knows Santiago is ready to complete his journey, and he tells him It's time for the two of them to leave the oasis and head towards Egypt. Santiago thinks he can live the rest of his life in the oasis. But Fatima teaches Santiago that true love never keeps one from pursuing destiny. It only motivates the pursuit. Santiago leaves the oasis with the alchemist. As the two travel, the alchemist continues teaching Santiago about the soul of the world and the language of the world. One day they are apprehended by one of the tribes and accused of being spies. The alchemist tells the leader of the tribe that Santiago is a very powerful man and he can turn himself into the wind. In fact, the alchemist makes a deal with the chief that if the boy successfully transforms himself into the wind, they go free. But if he doesn't, the tribe can kill them. Santiago, being terrified, tells the alchemist that he does not know how to convert himself into the wind. During the next 3 days, Santiago retires to the desert, trying to fully break through into the soul of the world. Finally, on the third day, he converses with the desert, wind, and the sun, and to the hand that wrote all. It is then he understands the concept that the soul of the world is from the soul of the God, and his own soul is of the soul of God, and he can perform miracles as power lies within. During this conversation, a violent windstorm begins blowing. Eventually, the encampment is ravaged by the storm. When the wind finally clears, Santiago has successfully been transformed into the wind. He is thought to be a powerful sorcerer. The alchemist and the boy are then released. They arrive at a Coptic monastery, and the alchemist shows Santiago the philosopher's stone, the substance that transforms lead into gold. The alchemist turns a block of lead into gold. He gives a quarter of it to the monk for your generosity to the pilgrims, a quarter to Santiago, a quarter for himself, and the final quarter he leaves at the monastery for Santiago if he ever needs it. After saying goodbye to the alchemist, Santiago goes to the pyramids. On reaching pyramids, Santiago fell to his knees and wept. He thanked God for making him believe in the destiny. He starts digging where his tears have fallen, but he found nothing. Meanwhile, some robbers come to him and beat him to a point near death, and steals the gold he had received from the alchemist. Santiago tells them that he is digging because he had a recurring dream about a treasure being hidden near the pyramids. The robbers laugh at him, and the leader tells him that he had a recurring dream as well, that in Spain, in an abandoned church where shepherds used to rest, under a sycamore lie a great treasure, but that he is not stupid to go in search of it. Then they leave, and Santiago's heart fills with joy, as he now knows where his treasure is all this time. Epilogue. The boy reached the abandoned church, and there he found his treasure. He shouted in joy, asking the old alchemist that why he didn't tell me where is my treasure all this time. Then he hears the alchemist's voice, that if he would have told him where his treasure is, he would not have seen the pyramids, and they are beautiful. The boy smiles, and he feels the Levanta, the wind of the Africa, the scent of a perfume in the air, and the touch of a kiss. "I'm coming, Fatima," he said. With this final image, the novel ends on the topic of love, which is productive and real, because it enables people to follow their destiny, the ultimate purpose of life.